Hello and welcome to the show. Now, remember over the last couple of months, I've been talking to entrepreneurs, I've been bringing various people into studio to advise our smaller businesses and upcoming businesses on various aspects of their business and how to further develop their businesses. I've bumped into Jennifer Smith, and she's someone very interesting on the marketing side. She believes that if you do not market your business properly, then you've got no business. And she's from a company called Marketing Matters, and it does. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Faizal.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, we met up in Durban at an event, and I remember standing on stage and I saw you, and you responded to a few things, because when you're on stage, you watch your crowd and you see who's responding and that sort of thing. And then we had a chat, and then I immediately knew that you're in marketing because I could see that that approach of yours and what you were talking about. And we then find out you're from a company called Marketing Matters, which you started. And yesterday we had a chat, a pre-chat before the interview, and there's a rich history of marketing and the intrinsic value of marketing within businesses. And there's the other side, and that's entrepreneurs and businesses that are not focusing on that component. So we're going to go into all of that, get some advice for our viewers from an expert like you. But let's look at your history and why you are aptly positioned to advise businesses on marketing. You're all about it, so where did it all start?
Faizal, I've been in marketing and in business for just over 24 years now. I know I don't look it, but I've worked for some of the major brands, for Lancome Cosmetics, for Tiger Brands, Beacon Sweets, Licorice, all sorts, Ola Ice Cream, Gino Giannelli. You know, so I've been very fortunate. I've worked on a number of really big brands, and I've had was able to experience the full gamut of marketing within those companies. And
so that's where you sort of cut your teeth.
Yes.
But prior to that, you went into teaching.
Yes, I taught for 3 years.
Which is a strange move, I mean, to go from teaching into marketing.
Well, not really. I went into teaching because my parents couldn't actually afford to pay for my full degree, which is fine. And I got a bursary from the Department of Education, and was able to then get my BA degree and so on. Then while I was...
Nothing is ever lost.
No,
it's always this thing that's just taking you on a certain path.
Yes.
And that's all part of it.
Yeah, and that set me up to lecture, which I do now at various institutions, as well as, you know, doing marketing strategies and so on for companies. I'm also able to lecture because of that background.
Great.
And while I was teaching, I was then able to think, but what do I want to do with the rest of my life? Because I loved the teaching, but it wasn't really my vocation. And through a variety of steps, I ended up doing a little bit of advertising, but in my studies, I started to look at marketing.
So you're considering advertising as the flyer leaflet kind of thing, or and you're looking at marketing being the essence behind getting the brand out? Absolutely.
So if I could maybe elaborate on, so I got my IMM diplomas in marketing management and so on, and I've got my MBL through UNISA and so on. So I was forever learning. I also became a chartered marketer, which is similar to chartered accountants. In that
I must admit that I work in this field, but I haven't heard the term.
Okay, it's actually been going for since 1998 or so.
Yes.
And it was started by the IMM. It's now under the auspices of MASA, the Marketing Association of South Africa. And you get evaluated based on education, based on experience. You do a workshop, you do board exam and so on, and then you become accredited. You then have to do continuous professional development activities, so to maintain your skills within the marketing field, because you know it's changing so much. and then you are a chartered marketer. And the goal is to have, when a board is looking to bring a marketer onto their board, we're wanting them to say, we need a chartered marketer.
Meaning it's someone that's been through the mill, been checked out, and got that accreditation.
Absolutely, yes. You are a professional marketer.
Because everyone else in marketing is going to be able to market themselves.
Absolutely.
And so there's got to be that defining line for people that want to take the best in the field.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's one lower level, which is a marketing practitioner, and they have fewer years of experience and maybe a lower level of education, etc. And they can they can come a slightly different route, and they would be people who the excellent ones would go on to become chartered marketers. So yeah, so that's that process.
So you head off, and you've been through all the corporates. I know you were with huge brands and big organizations like L'Oreal and Tiger Brands and all of these people. And they all were at some point a phase that you learn from and you move on.
Absolutely.
You get to this point where you now start Marketing Matters, and that was 8 years ago. How did that all start? Was it just I needed now to do my own thing?
Yes, I think so. I think I got to. I had a number of colleagues who would say to me, "Oh, Jen, you should go on your own. You should go on your own." And I said, "No, well, I'm still learning. I need to do more. I need to do more." But I did get to a point where I thought, well, okay, maybe I can go on my own. I wanted to change my lifestyle from the very heavy corporate lifestyle, which I did love at the time, to being able to control my own hours. I also wanted the excitement and the variety that comes from dealing with different brands, different industries.
It's also personal growth, is it? I mean,
Absolutely.
Working for a company all the time, yes, it gives you that experience and that background which you build on, and you never lose that. But in the end of the day, you get to the point where you say, I now need to do something for myself.
Yeah, and you control your own destiny very much. It's very scary. I mean, I'm not an entrepreneur, but I'm someone who, with the years of experience in marketing, feel that I would be able to guide entrepreneurs. But entrepreneurs are people who have got this incredible ability to take risk and live with that risk and live with the sleepless nights and the big decisions and the scary numbers, that they have to deal with, and fighting with banks and fighting with government or trying to get payment out of clients and so on, and making the decision on where to spend their money. So I have a huge respect for that. And it's about, when I come to people with advice about marketing, I would say, with my brand is Marketing Matters, as you said, but there's a little MM after the matters, yes, and that's about exponentializing something.
For a moment I was thinking, what an interesting logo, because normally you see TM on top or copyright or something goes on in MM, like, okay, that's something new. But be that as may, let's look at Marketing Matters before we talk to our businesses about some advice.
Okay.
Tell us a bit about the company. It's 8 years. It's developed, it's grown. Obviously you're in marketing, so you should have marketed this one quite well.
Well, yes and no. I went through phases where I was able to work as a young company. I had a lot of contacts that I was very fortunate. They immediately drew me into their businesses. So I did a lot of work for companies that I'd had contact with in my previous positions. And I was able to leverage those contacts, and I did really nice business there. Then I went through a phase where I seemed to have so much work, but I was drowning in the details. I was drowning in all the paperwork and the accounts and everything. So I decided to bring somebody on board and get an office, which I did in Kloof in St. Mary's Road. And we had a lovely 3 years there.
But that's the growth of the business.
Absolutely,
it's going
yes.
out there alone and
yeah.
I need this one, I need that one. When you come and look, there's 20 people.
Yeah, I didn't grow to quite that much, but yes, it was that sort of, wow, that kind of expansion. And then I felt, okay, no, I needed to pull back again. And I did. And I've pulled back to be basically working on my own again and drawing on other people as and when I need them. And that's the nature of my business. Because I consult and I go to you, I'm going into your business, I'm talking to you at your home. And so I don't need
Of course, yes.
those physical trappings of an office anymore.
Correct, yes. So the actual consultancy, for example, we approach marketing matters. What's the type of services that we're going to get out of you and out of your company?
Well, the services that I've developed have grown from the experiences I've had over time. So I start with marketing minds, what I call marketing minds, and that's about research. Because when you start your brand, you need to coalesce, bring together the knowledge you have about your consumer, about your target market. And whether that's formal research or informal, that doesn't matter, but you really need to write down what it is you know about your brand. So, and about your product and your target market. So what I would do is I would either manage that research process. If you have a budget that you're going to go to the Nielsen's, etc., or I shouldn't name names, yes. But to the various big research houses, I'll help you in that process. I'll write the brief for you. I'll manage the process for you, so that what you get out of that research is knowledge that can be turned into a strategy.
Correct, yes. So you are saying for us to go forward, we need to understand where we're at first.
Absolutely.
And then design the way forward. So that's the first point of call, and a service that you offer.
Yeah. And part of that could also be, for instance, something like a marketing audit, which is literally 150, 160 questions that you would ask in workshop formats and so on. Ask the business, do you do this? Do you have that? Do you have the next thing? And if you have this, does anybody else know about it? You know, is the MD the only person who knows the vision and the mission and that sort of thing? You know, or has that been disseminated amongst the company? So that's that sort of research component. The other things I do is I would help you develop your vision and mission, write a full strategy, so business strategy, an overriding one. If you've already got that, then we look at that and we say, okay, what are your marketing plans that you're doing? What do you need there? For me, marketing is about, I just stick to the 4 Ps. I don't want to get all fancy and invent something new, particularly.
So tell us about the 4 Ps.
So the academic 4 Ps are product,
right,
price, place, and promotion.
Okay, interesting.
Now, the only thing I've changed there, because I found it so crucial, is that I'm saying it's people, because you need your entrepreneur. You need your people to develop a product. Now, included in people, let's start there. It's the people who work in your business. It's the people you're selling to. It's the broader stakeholders, the environment, the community that you're placed in. It's government. What are the legislators doing and saying? How can they affect your product, your industry? What are they doing legislatively? What are they saying about it? Because people listen.
Yes.
So that's your part of your people. Oh, suppliers as well. Okay.
Yes.
If you don't have good suppliers, you can't create a good product. And partners and people that you work with. Then product. And our product is everything from a pure service, someone cutting your hair, someone teaching you something, pure service, all the way to a physical product. So it's the person who made these chairs, for instance. They'll be selling these chairs, but not providing you any further service for it. So that's your product. And within that product is brand and pricing and positioning and all these technical terms that just say, how much am I going to charge? Am I a premium product? Am I a discount product? Am I value for money? And all that is based on the target market that you're going to talk to.
Do you know, just listening to you, I know you got through the first 2 Ps at this point, but listening to you, I'm thinking to myself that there are many businesses that's probably watching the show and saying, I'm selling something, I've opened a business, but I've never asked these questions. And all you're saying is that you might be successful because, yes, you hit it right the first time.
Yeah.
But what could you not be if you did not, or you rather try and go through what the processes is that you offer? You could be something else. You
could be better, you could be bigger. You could be reaching your target market more effectively. To elaborate really quickly on the last 2 Ps, because you need to, where you do business, the place, where you sell your product, where your actual physical premises are, and where you retail your product is, I mean, that'll affect how well you do. Because if those are the places that are identified with your branding and your positioning, and if you get that wrong, if there's a lack of alignment in that, your consumer goes, I don't quite trust that brand. I don't really want to buy that product because I don't trust it. Because that's what you're doing with all your branding, with all your marketing. You're creating a relationship with your target market that says, come and trust me. Come give me your money. Share of pocket, I want that. So choose to spend your money on me instead of something else. Instead of, whether it's someone else's brand or a completely different product. So you're building that trust, and your place does that, okay? So, and I could give lots of examples of where it's, but I don't want to name brands and so on. Then, right at the end of all of that, now you say promotion. And promotion is not just the 50 cents off, and it's not just the coupons, and it's not the giveaways, and it's not the discounts. Okay, discounts are, yes. We do not want discounts if we can help it. Rather have added value if that's possible. But that promotion's advertising. Am I going to advertise? Am I going to go into the big media like TV, radio, etc.? Am I going to, is my target audience on social media? If they're not, don't use social media. It's a waste of time and money. Are they people who listen to experts? Yes. Do they listen or do they read? If they listen, be on radio. If they read, be in the magazines and on the internet and so on.
So it's really unpacking the target audience.
Absolutely.
And speaking to the target audience.
Yes.
It's about understanding them so that you adapt a message and components that speak to them.
Absolutely.
And you feel that that's where, I suppose, many businesses that fail or products that fail are probably not making that connection. Because if you think about anything, Jennifer, how is it possible that some people say that, you know what, it's this market and it's that market, so this means let's not sell houses at this time, let's rent houses, for example. I'm just giving that as an example. But then you look around the corner and you find a guy and says, you should not be selling rice now. Nobody's eating rice. But the one guy on that corner is selling tons and tons of rice, and this guy is selling absolutely nothing. But he's got this store that's looking very nice. So something is right and something's wrong, and it's up to people like yourself and companies like yourself to actually find what is it you're doing right and what you are doing wrong.
And you know, sometimes it's what I find happens is we end up being a sample of one. So I have a particular background, I have a particular age, culture, I have opinions and attitudes about things. Now, if I make the mistake of saying, because I behave in this way, so if I don't read newspapers, for instance, and then I'll say, oh, but why would you advertise in newspapers? Nobody reads them. Because I don't read them. But my target market might be, that's the only place they go and get information. Okay, that's never the case. Yes. You always have, you know, messages across a variety of mediums, and those messages must be consistent across the different mediums. But, you know, so we have to be very careful and say, who is that target audience and what are they reading? Just because you don't like social media doesn't mean social media doesn't work. Okay, just because you don't like ladies' magazines, and I'm not saying that because you're a man.
Yes.
There are many women who don't like lifestyle magazines. You know, they want something serious, or they want something sporty, or they want. But so that doesn't mean that your target audience isn't there. Okay, right. So it's very much about step outside your own shoes. Yes, you're the brilliant entrepreneur. You have actually looked at your target market, you've looked at the market, at the industry, and you found something that is quite different. You found a way to answer a need in a marketplace. But then what seems to happen is those same entrepreneurs, they get fully involved in building the factory and getting the people and doing that whole thing, getting it all going. But then when it comes to communicating with the target market, they disconnect.
Correct. Well, are you saying that the fact that you've got an entrepreneur in all of this and in your example, and you're right, they take their time and they get the brand going, and it goes from point zero to a certain point. And do you feel that at that certain point, I've put up the building, I've put in the new staff, I've got new systems and legislation, and I've got all things going. To take it to the next level, it's the time where you actually hand over the marketing side and say, it's got to go to the next level.
I think that reality being what it is, that's pretty much when that does happen or should happen in order for the momentum to be maintained. Ideally, it would be brilliant if the marketers could be brought in right at the beginning. So,
but what happens with entrepreneurs is the fact that they start up something, they're not even sure if they can have 2 staff members or afford it. And then they start out with nothing, and then they 2 years down the line they are millionaires or whatever they've done.
Yes.
And then the business sits there at that point, because they believe that they to be it and all, like you said. I've built this, I've put it up there.
Yeah, and it's fine.
But you can take that to the next stage.
Absolutely. But it's about people's vision on what we were reading some articles yesterday about businesses now that have this exponential growth. Their growth is doubling all the time. But when you read the examples that they give, what it seems to be is that the mindset of the entrepreneurs who started those businesses is that of, we are going to grow, we're going to be big. Tetra Pak, for instance, which is a business I worked in and really, really loved, their very first board meeting was, we will be an international company. They were in a position where a major dairy had to lend them 1 million kroner at the time just to keep them going. But boy, they were going to be an international company. They are in 169 countries now, and one of the biggest family-owned businesses in the world. But it was based on that vision.
Correct, yes.
You know, and I think sometimes, I think there gets to a point where an entrepreneur needs an external perspective just to get in and say, but what was your original intention? What was your vision? What is your vision? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Yes, you've got this great business going, but it's no good your engineer going out trying to sell. Now you need your sales team. Now you need this. Now you need that. And that external input, that unbiased, the person who doesn't really care about the purple cows, the sacred cows. You know, I mean, yes, we care about the sacred cows. Let me not get... But within business, you know, there can be no sacred cows. There can be nothing that you can question. And it's also the person that comes in and says, yes, this has been successful to this extent. But that success could be the result of your downfall now.
Correct, 100%.
You know?
So, Jennifer, we're looking at some businesses out there watching the program that perhaps find themselves, and let's take this one step further down. With all due respect to the smaller businesses. For example, we've got people watching the program that are maybe selling certain things, and then there are some that have just started a brand, and there's some that find themselves in this position where they've built to a certain point. Some advice and key points and tips to getting your business to the next level before going full route with a company like Marketing Matters. Simple things that could turn your brand around.
Okay. I think everybody needs to sit down and say, what is our status quo? So, have we... In fact, you would actually really, what you would want, and it's something that is quite simple to do in a business, okay? Everybody's just got to actually take the time, instead of be running around operating, doing. Take the time, sit down for a couple of days or even a couple of mornings and say, all right, what is our product? What do we offer services? Don't we offer services? Is it a physical product? Isn't a physical product? If we think it's just a physical product, is that true? So I think that's a really important question, is that true? What else? What have we learned over the past 2 or 3 years? What have our customers been telling us? And please listen to the negative. The customers who offer you objections or criticism actually are your best friends in the whole world.
I totally agree with you. In our situation as a TV channel and as a talk show, I call it the heartbeat. So what happens is we get these people that would call, and you cannot please every viewer. That's impossible. You've got thousands of people, and 500 people is going to say that, and 500 people is going to say that. What they sometimes don't understand is that we showed you something now, and we're showing them something later.
Yeah.
So there's different people watching at different times. But when we get those calls, I always tell the staff that you need to understand that when someone says, I don't like that topic, I don't like that guest, or I don't like that show, it's a heartbeat matter. It's like going to the doctor and they're putting the stethoscope on, and you use that to diagnose issues and see if there's really a problem or not, so that you can get it. So that's my analogy of that.
I love that
but
analogy.
I don't get to the point where you say, no, who does he think he is?
Oh,
He
you
can run his own business.
can't. Yeah.
So some people respond that way.
Yeah.
And I feel that you're not then listening to your market.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, and that feedback comes to you from your sales staff, it comes to you from customers phoning the MD or whoever it is directly, etc., and sharing it over a glass of wine or over a cup of tea or whatever the interaction is with the customers or the consumers. In fast-moving consumer goods, it'll sometimes come through your retailers, etc. So what I'm saying is it's that taking stock. It is more difficult to do it if you're just doing it yourself. But as you're saying, before one brings in the consultants or the what's, just sit down and be honest with yourselves and say, what are we doing? Are we still on track? Do we know what our vision is or was? What do we want to do next? Do we have the resources? Do we have the financial resources? Are we over leveraging ourselves? Have we borrowed too much money and we're not actually getting a quick enough return? Why aren't we getting a quick enough return? What are the measurements that we've decided are important for our business? What sales measurements? How a number of customers? How many have we lost? Etc. Those kind of, but sit down and work with them within, not just the accountant sitting on his own or the MD sitting on her own. Not just bring the business together. Ask opinions. You'll be amazed at the opinions and the ideas that abound from the secretary to practically the cleaner about how the business could work better. And then say, okay, we want to move to another level. How are we going to do that? Can we do it on our own? And some businesses, if they'll do this, yes, they can do it on their own. The other thing that I find so important is, are our people doing the right jobs? So it's less about them doing them right, but do you have a clerk who could be a salesperson, or a salesperson who quite frankly would be happier?
So you're saying that the HR needs to be analyzed and see if people are reaching their maximum potential,
yes,
and working within the spheres that they do best in.
Absolutely. And do you have, I've worked in a business, small family-owned business, which was very dynamic and quite exciting, but you had the production manager running off as the salesperson to a couple of clients. And that had happened by accident because those clients liked his personality. But because he was out there with those clients, he was now not running production. So then production would run less smoothly. And he wasn't getting new business. He was just keeping them happy, and to some extent, but obviously not when the production didn't go right. So if your salespeople are performing, great, reward them. If they're not performing, pull back. Have those measures, have proper sales meetings, have proper systems in place. Entrepreneurial, the smaller businesses are often family run. And we don't want to keep minutes of meetings, we don't want to adhere to our sales targets, we're a bit nervous to say, okay, this is our sales target, or you didn't reach it. Oh, shame. Yes, no, I understand the dog died and your mother's a bit sick and whatever, and the thousands excuses. If you're going to grow, you actually have to call people on their promise of delivery. And that's tough. That's very hard. And I know that's not marketing, but hey, it's part of people.
Correct, yes.
You know, and if you've hired the wrong people, your business isn't going to grow. How can it grow?
Correct.
I mean, you know, imagine if Dean TV had decided to put someone else in your position. People wouldn't want to watch because they wouldn't be watching a professional presenter. They'd be watching an amateur.
I think you're saying that I'm professional at the same time.
Yes, yeah, I might have slipped a compliment.
You're very good at marketing, Jennifer. I can see that one. Jennifer,
Yeah.
we've actually reached the end of the show. The show, it was very short for me because I think there's a lot of information that must come out here. And I don't think we want to give it away all the same time because there are companies like yourself that people need to contact to go a bit deeper into this matter. So therefore, I'm going to get your details on my website. I'm also going to put your details on the screen so that people can contact you and consult with you. Are you open to taking from the small business to the big business, from the startup to the existing running business?
Faizal, you know, for me, marketing is about business, and business is marketing. And I'm not industry bound, so I'm very lucky. I'm also very happy to prorate my rates that I charge and adjust how I work with the company. So there might be some companies and some people need 2 hours advice, 1 hour's advice. I'm happy to say, okay, there's that amount for that, I will give you that advice, and if you want to phone me again later, no problem. From that to creating a major strategy or doing a major research project, or you know, it doesn't worry me as long as it suits my product, must suit my client's needs.
Correct. You know, it's one of those things where people need to realize that they've got to spend some money to make money.
Yes.
You cannot make money today without spending money.
Yeah.
And spending money in terms of marketing, not only the below and above the line issues, but also the advice around those issues is as critical as spending the money on the marketing material itself.
Absolutely.
And people are not getting that part.
Yeah.
You can buy the medication, but you need someone to tell you what medication you need to buy.
Yes.
That's where people are missing the point.
Yeah.
In my little experience that I've got in business, where I pick up that you cannot simply walk into the pharmacy and go through the whole range of things and say, oh, all these things are for flu, so let me just go any, mini, miny, mo and take that one. Exactly. What if you have a problem with that medication and only the doctor's going to tell you that?
Yeah.
So likewise, I think that you're in a strategic position, and that's to advise people on what marketing medication they need to take. So it's been lovely having you. I think we need to get you back when I'm back in the Durban studio.
Thank you, Faizal.
To follow up on that, we can have your details on the screen. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Faizal. Thank you for having me here.
Jennifer Smith, some sound marketing advice, and now you know that marketing really does matter. She's from Marketing Matters. Until next time, goodbye.